If you have bananas that look like this and you have a container of sourdough discard in your fridge that looks like this is the recipe for you. This is a banana nut sourdough discard waffle recipe. If you don't like nuts, use chocolate chips or just leave it out altogether. But either way, this waffle recipe can use up between 1 and 4 overripe bananas. Just depends on how many you have to get rid of. But if you want to make the full big batch, which makes 20 square waffles, you need 4 bananas. It's 1 banana for every 250 grams of sourdough discard. If you don't keep sourdough discard on hand, you can use active peaked sourdough starter instead. Either way, this recipe is so fast and easy, and it is just so practical. I love that it uses up 2 ingredients that might otherwise go to waste. So here we go. To start, we need 6 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. That's 113 grams. And I just melt this in the microwave. So I will be back in like 45 seconds. Okay, my butter is mostly melted. It popped in the microwave, so I'm gonna stop here. Those solid bits will melt with everything, it's fine. All right, now I need 4 overripe bananas, and honestly, the browner and the spottier, the better. They get sweeter as they become overripe, which makes them perfect for recipes like this one. I am weighing this just so I can tell you how much, but this recipe is so flexible. Don't panic about exactly how many grams your bananas are. In general, 1 banana for every 250 grams of sourdough discard will get the job done. Okay, so this time around, my 4 bananas ended up being 485 grams. That's quite a bit more from my original recipe test where my 4 bananas were 340 grams, but I don't suspect that this will make or break the recipe in any way. So just come along with me for this journey and you will see that it really doesn't matter the size of your bananas, so don't panic about it. If you want to panic about it, if you're type A or it just has to be precise, you can weigh the bananas separately, not with your butter, and just freeze the extra bits that you don't need and save them for next time. Overripe bananas freeze very well. All right, my bananas are so overripe that I don't even really need to mash them. So I'm just stirring it into my butter. I do like it a little lumpy. I like that texture of the bananas in the waffles. If you don't, just get out a fork and mash away. Okay, now we need 1,000 grams of sourdough discard, and if that sounds crazy to you, don't forget this recipe is scalable. I just needed a recipe that got rid of an entire deli container like this. This is almost 1,000 grams. We'll see if I make it. If I don't forget you can always use active starter in place of discard. And if you really are not concerned about gluten sensitivity, you can also add equal parts flour and water for whatever is missing. So looks like I am at around 950 grams of discard. So I'm only about 50 grams short, which is no big deal. I'm not gonna worry about it. But if I wanted to make up that 50 grams that I'm missing, I would simply add 25 grams of water and 25 grams of flour. Okay, just knowing that those 25 grams of flour I'm adding, it's not pre-fermented. So if I happened to have a gluten sensitivity, that wouldn't be ideal. So just scale the recipe for how much discard you've got. Also, this recipe is based on a sourdough discard that is liquid. So it's assuming that you've been feeding your starter about equal parts water and flour. If you have a stiffer starter where you're not doing that, you can still use it to make these waffles. You will just want to add more liquid to thin it out so that it behaves in this recipe like a liquid starter. So if you are just going off of eyeball, here is what the batter looks like right now. If your batter is looking a lot thicker than that, go ahead and add some milk. If you have a milk or dairy allergy, nut milk would also be just fine. Add it until the consistency is the same, and that's still a great way to use up your stiff starter discard if you have any. At this point, I like to add the 4 eggs. I wait to add the eggs because the butter that we melted in the microwave, I got a shell, is hot, and I do not want to scramble my eggs with my melted butter. So the discard that I used was straight from the fridge. It does not need to come to room temperature. So that cold discard in here has really cooled everything down, and now there's no risk of the eggs becoming scrambled eggs in your waffle batter. Now I'm gonna add 80 grams of brown sugar. I love the combination of brown sugar with banana and nut. It all just comes together in this perfect little package. You do not have to add the brown sugar if you don't want. Depends on your preference on how sweet or not sweet your waffles are, and also how overripe your bananas are. If your bananas were not as brown and as overripe as mine, they won't be as sweet. So you might find that you need more brown sugar to get the sweetness level that you're looking for in your waffles. If you are watching your calories and just don't want a lot of sugar in your breakfast foods, you don't need it, or you can scale it back. I just did some recipe testing with only the overripe bananas, and I thought the balance just didn't seem quite right. So I experimented with adding the brown sugar, and I found this amount felt perfect to me. It's not overly sweet, but that hint of sweetness is there. If you drench your waffles in maple syrup, you probably can skip the brown sugar because that sweetness from the syrup will compensate. But it's so customizable. You know yourself, you know what you like. Just know that it's flexible and you can modify it for what you like. Also some vanilla extract for flavor. I've been using vanilla paste. I've been experimenting with that. So this is fun. Oh, it's starting to change. So I made this vanilla paste like 3 weeks ago, and it's starting to become more liquidy. I don't know anything about it, so I'm probably gonna have to research. Is this a good thing? Is this a normal thing? I hope so. We're rolling with it. About 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract or paste. It's probably about a teaspoon of vanilla paste, I'd say. 2 teaspoons if you're using extract. I think about half the amount in vanilla paste. I really like cinnamon in our waffles, even the plain waffles. I'm just a huge fan. Cinnamon's got great health benefits. Maybe not this one from Kroger, but Ceylon cinnamon is a great one, but also the flavor it adds is just perfection to me. So I put about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon in this full batch of waffles, but that's another ingredient that is completely customizable. Leave it out if you don't like the cinnamon flavor. You can swap it out for something else, like pumpkin pie spice would be fun. Ginger, cardamom, allspice, nutmeg, whatever you like. Make it your own. Okay, forgot my pinch of salt. I just take a little pinch. That's really good. All right, and once all of that is mixed together, I go ahead and add our baking soda. This is the secret ingredient to this recipe. The baking soda reacts with acid, and in this recipe, the acid is coming from the sourdough discard, and that reaction creates a lovely collection of little bubbles that make our waffle batter very light and fluffy and aerated, and it gives us the most tender and just fluffy interior, while the exterior of the waffles are really crispy. It is the perfect combination. You just have to make sure with the baking soda that you whisk it in extremely well, because if there are any pockets of baking soda in here that aren't fully dispersed, you will get a bite of your waffle that tastes very chemically and bitter. It is very unpleasant. So just take a second here and make sure your baking soda is really whisked in well. Do you see that texture change? It is now light and fluffy. Oh, what a thing of beauty. I love it when science and baking come together. Okay, so we are done with the whisk now. Now we are switching just to our spatula to fold in our nuts. Okay, so we need 200 grams. Just gonna chop these up a little bit smaller. Also, this would be better if you took the time to also roast your nuts before you add it. I'm not doing it. Sometimes in life you have to decide if the extra time and effort is worth it. And for me right now, it's not. Technically, it would be the better way to do it. I just don't care, personally. If I were making these for like a special occasion, I probably would do it because it adds a really nice toasty, deeper nutty flavor. All right, once you're happy with your your nut size, which walnuts and pecans I think are great. Walnuts and banana just are like peanut butter and jelly, peas and carrots. All right, I'm folding in our walnuts. Gosh, it smells heavenly. And I never preheated my waffle iron, did I? Woo! So I do want to take a second to talk about this waffle iron. This is new to me. In my opinion, I upgraded, but technically I downgraded because this waffle iron is half or maybe even a third of the price of the all-clad one that I had been using. But the reason I decided to purchase it and give away the one that costs a heck of a lot more is because of this. These are removable, so you can actually clean them. Okay, so this is gonna preheat. I find if you happen to use this one, it's from Cuisinart. Yeah, the heat set to 5. There's 1 through 6. This one runs hotter than my all-clad, so I keep it at about 5. And in like a minute and a half or so, each batch of waffles is done. It is a lot faster than my all-clad, which I love, but also it's easier to clean. The all-clad one, all of the pieces were one, and the cord was a part of the one. So if you wanted to wash it, you had to open it and kind of like awkwardly put it in the sink and try to wash things without the water getting near the cord area. That's a wild problem to have on a product that's like $300. So yeah, we gave that one away, and this more budget-friendly one is awesome. So much faster. I can get through a batch of waffles in like half the time, maybe even less than the all-clad. So it's a good day when you find a product that not only saves you money, but you like better than the more expensive one. So ideally right now we would be making waffles, because the longer this sits, that reaction that the baking soda had with the sourdough discard, its effects start going down and down, and our batter will deflate and deflate until there's no more of those bubbles. So you want to start baking them as soon as you can. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get going on these. I am out of spray. Woo! I'm out of spray, so I'm just doing a drizzle of oil on the bottom. I wish I could do the top too, but it's all right. Okay, so about 1/3 cup per square. Try not to overfill them or the whole thing will overflow. I find it, obviously this all depends on your waffle maker, but if you're using this one, about 1/3 cup. Okay, close that up. Gosh, I made a mess. Takes about 1.5 minutes. All right, it's been about 1.5 minutes. Let's do a little peek in. Yeah, the whole kitchen smells like overripe bananas, which is amazing. Okay, whew, hot, steaming. Okay, get the whole thing now. Ah! Okay, they are crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. They'll crisp up more as they cool down. And if you find that they're not as crispy as you like, you can pop them in the toaster on the lowest setting, and they will be very crispy on the outside. Okay, let's do the second batch. I also find that they tend to get crispier the more batches you do, because the waffle iron is heating up more. Okay, it's been 1.5 minutes. My timer just went off. Yeah. I always say it in these videos, but I just wish you could smell these. Try to separate them to get them out easier. Okay. There's gotta be a better way. Who knows a better way to get waffles out of your waffle iron without burning your hands? Please share your tips with me. All right, we're just gonna keep trucking along. So I reckon we'll either speed things up or we'll cut to me showing you what all of these waffles look like when we've gotten them all griddled up. Oh, quick tip. As your batter sits, the inclusions tend to fall to the bottom, so make sure you're scooping up from the bottom or your last waffles will be like all inclusions, no batter. So just give it a little mix every time you go to refill your waffle iron. Okay. See you in a minute. Well, I was gonna see you in a minute, but literally, I can't stand here and not taste test them. These are so good. Yeah, not overly sweet. Even with the 80 grams of brown sugar added, it's not crazy sweet. In fact, I think if you like sweet waffles, you're gonna want more. The banana flavor with the texture of the nuts is so good. Okay, I'm gonna finish these up. I said I wasn't gonna see you toward the end, till the end, but I just had to show you these. I let cook just a little bit longer, and they're holding their structure and shape a lot better. So perhaps I undercooked these a little bit because they're a little bit more pliable. These are crispier. So play around with your waffle maker, and also just know that the longer you do this, the crispier each batch will get because your machine is heating up. Might be okay. Okay, and I'll really see you on the flip side. Last batch. I ate 2 of them, so how many did we end up with? 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 28. So this waffle iron, the squares are a little bit smaller than my all-clad one. My all-clad one made 20 waffles. This makes 28 waffles that are slightly smaller. It's a lot, and I love it. You can freeze these, and they defrost so well. From the freezer, you pop it in the toaster, frozen, and they're like you just made them when they're done in the toaster. So it's rare that you find something that actually is better post-frozen. I think these are, because they get even crispier when you toast them after frozen. Anyway, last batch of waffles are done. Can you hear that? They definitely get crispier the farther you go. Once these are cooled down, I stack them up. So I've got a new landing spot for my fresh out of the toaster waffles that I just fling across the kitchen. Oh, I almost had it. There we go. I literally do it just like that every time. Again, if you have tips, let me know. Okay, woo, now that we have a bajillion waffles, here's what they look like. They're so beautiful. Again, as they cool down, if they are not as crispy on the outside as you like, just pop them in your toaster. But if you freeze them and pop them in the toaster from frozen, they will be perfect. Again, I think they're better that way than fresh out of the waffle maker. Call me crazy. I guess it's waffle iron, not waffle maker. Anyway, these are so good. The flavor combo on this is to die for. Like perfectly brown, and look, you just used up bananas that might have gone in the trash, sourdough discard that might have gone in the trash. You've used it all up, and now you have the most delicious sourdough banana nut waffles. Oop, it's going off camera. Oh, I'm gonna plate this up and take some pictures for the blog. Don't forget that you can get all of my recipes for free on my website, thatsourdoughgal.com. Everything is tested. The more complex recipes, I even bring in outside recipe testers from all around the world to test them. Recipes like this that are simple, I don't. But you can be sure when you go to my blog that the recipes there are not generated by AI, created by a human, tested by a human, or many humans, like hundreds of humans. You can trust my recipes, all right? So, what waffles are you gonna make? The new banana nut waffles. I also have a pumpkin variation, or just the original. I feel like you can't lose. You just stocking up on a fast and easy breakfast item that is super customizable and flexible, and gosh, so practical, fast. What else can you want from a recipe, I feel? Anyway, I guess that's all for today. Happy baking.